an actor is a brand, an actor is a product. So you need to get your brand, your product out there. Publicity done right should help build your name.
How many Oscars have your clients been nominated for?
32.
And how many have you won?
6.
Catherine Lyn Scott is an entertainment publicist and founded London Flair PR over 16 years ago. Renowned for her expertise in award season campaigns, she's been instrumental in the success of multiple Oscar and BAFTA-winning films. Beyond that, she's managed film premieres, celebrity publicity, and film festival promotions. Darren caught up with her at the Chinese Theatre in Hollywood during the Holly Shorts Film Festival, where Catherine shared invaluable insights on when PR can boost your career and how to do it right, even on your own.
If you're an actor, don't shy away of doing a good short film. It could lead you to the red carpet of the Oscars.
Welcome, Catherine, to the WeAudition Show. So you're an entertainment publicist, a top entertainment publicist. Tell us what that is and why it's important.
Well, there's different definitions of entertainment publicists, and it does kind of cover a bit of a gamut. You could be an entertainment publicist and cover theatre. You could look after actors. You could look after TV presenters or film, but we specialize in working with films and also some actors in helping promote them and their work. And why it's important is, you could make a film and no one hears about it, right? And the whole point of making film is you want people to hear about it, know about it. So where we come in is we help promote the film, to get it out to journalists, to write reviews, to do interviews with the cast or the filmmakers, and really, so people start to hear about it. So you want, and it goes further, really.
And do you find that makes a difference in an actor's career, specifically when you work with a talent and elevate them in that way?
Definitely. So I had a client who was starring in a national TV show, and she said that she would walk down the street and people would keep calling her name. And it was a really known show. They would call her by a character name, and which is great. You're recognized in your show and people love you. But she said after working with us, people would actually call her by her name. They knew her name. It definitely helped things. And she ended up getting an MBE in the end because she was really recognized her name. I don't take credit for all of that, to be honest. She's an amazing, incredible actress. But it is really nice to hear that, our work makes people recognize you and you as an actress, not just as a character.
And an MBE, for anyone who doesn't know, is a member of the British Empire, right?
Yeah, it's like an award from the king.
From the king.
And it basically means you're at the top of your game.
Which is amazing for the career, right?
Amazing for the career.
Yeah.
What time in a person's career should they be approaching a PR?
Well, you need to be either in a TV series, minimum 2 episodes. I'd even go for 3 minimum, really. There's no point if you just got a few lines. It's not going to help. But if you're in a series and at least 2 or 3 episodes, or you're in a guest star and you're like really taking that whole episode is yours and you're really carrying the storyline. It's about storyline. So you need to have something where you're a real pivotal part of the film or series, TV series. You can't just be doing a few lines in here and there, but a character that's really memorable. And it's really important too. I mean, every character is important, but a character that really kind of helps drive the storyline in either a film or a TV series. What
sort of time is it? Is it before you do the role, or is it before it's out on telly, or should you be doing it whilst you're shooting or whilst it's on air? What sort of time?
Well, you need to have done the role, right? Because you also don't know if they're going to cut some pieces out, or, you still don't know, right? Because you could be in a TV series and you don't know what they're cutting out, or in a film. Mostly the TV series will be kept in, but with a film, you just don't know how much you're in it. But really, it should be for a television series. It depends when it's coming out. And I think what's difficult about that is you don't always get a ton of notice with TV series because they'll get a time slot and you don't get a lot of notice. But if you have as much as possible, then it's good to start a couple of of months before it airs. If you know that, it's not always easy to know. With a film, you generally have more notice, and you know, really, again, at least 2 to 3 months. If you're in like a blockbuster film, definitely 3 months, because magazine lead times are 3 months. So if you're going to be in a magazine, generally they book that 3 months ahead. So you would need that lead time, but it kind of depends what you're in. You know, are you in a film in a festival? Are you in a film that's being released into theaters? Are you in a film that's going for the Oscars? Are you, you know, it kind of depends what it is as well. It's different depending on what it is.
You've worked on a lot of Oscar campaigns. How do you get in a film that's nominated for an Oscar?
Well,
What's
I don't think
process?
you're going to know, right? Like, there's no way of being a film that's nominated for an Oscar. I mean, there's many films.
You have a lot of films that have been nominated for an Oscar.
Yes.
So do you just have the golden touch in picking clients? You know, how many Oscars have your clients been nominated for?
32.
32, right? And how many have you won?
6.
So there's something about what you're doing with those clients that's helping them do that. That's not just a coincidence, is it?
Thank you. Thank you. I'll take that. No, you know what? I think it's not a coincidence, but without a good film, I'm not going to be anywhere. So I think, yes, we do have an eye for picking films that we think that Academy voters will like. But if the films, I always say we're only as good as the clients or the films we represent. So if the film is not great, it's not going to go anywhere. I think, you know, we've been lucky enough to get that many nominations for clients. But I think if you're an actor, don't shy away of maybe doing a good short film. You know, all of our nominees have been for short films, and it can really change someone's career. Like with An Irish Goodbye, James, one of the lead actors in the film, had really not done anything. And then he went on to be the first actor with Down syndrome to win, to be in an Oscar-winning film. He was then in the Guinness Book of Records, and his career just shot up, but he wasn't really known before that. You know, he had done some work, but wasn't known. And there are, you know, Riz Ahmed won with his film, and that was his first Oscar. So, you know, if you're an actor, don't be afraid about doing a good short, you know, but just because you never know where it's going to go. But just make sure you're working with people. So do the research on who you're working with, you know, what the directors like. Again, some of these were their first films, so you can take a gamble, but I think do your research, but don't shy away as an actor. I mean, you get A-listers who stop to do a short still. So I think if there's a good film, don't shy away from doing that, because you never know. It could lead you to the red carpet of the Oscars. You never know.
And what was that experience like when your first time on the red carpet Oscars campaign trail? Was it a lifelong dream of yours, or was it something you thought you'd ever be doing?
No, not really. I mean, I have to bring Darren in here because it's because of Darren that I'm even doing any Oscar campaigns, because the very first film that I had, he brought me, which had, the second one I had was Melissa Leo. The first had John Hurt. So he had a short that John Hurt was in, and he recommended me, and then they recommended me to the film that had Melissa Leo in it. So that was very new to me. And the very first year John's film it wasn't John, it was a director's film that John was in. It got shortlisted, and unfortunately Melissa Leo's film didn't get anywhere. But that was really the first year I ever did them, and I was very green, didn't really know too much, but learned fast. And then we were able to get pretty much every year after that we've had nominations. I think every year after that we've had nominations, and we started to get wins. But that's because of Darren. Darren bought, and I will always say this, it's because of Darren that we're even ever at the Oscars. It is
I take no responsibility for that. But
listen, it's a lot of hard work and passion, and you know, I love what I do. It's, you know, I was kind of, you know, this is something I was thinking about even putting out on Instagram, just to say, who loves their jobs? And I bet actors come forward saying they love their jobs. I bet directors come forward saying they love their jobs. But when I'm speaking to day-to-day people, it's mad how many people don't. Like, really don't. They go to work and they're like, I don't enjoy it, which is kind of nuts to me. But I think you're really blessed when you do something you love. And I know that many actors do. I'm sure that you do, right? Do you love your job?
I love the working. What about you, Richard?
I love most of it. I don't love some of it. But When I'm working, when I'm doing the acting, when I'm getting roles, when I'm auditioning, I love it. When I'm working through characters, I love it. I actually love the business side of it. There's so much of it I love. But it is really difficult. And that's why some people don't stick to it, I think.
The waiting to get a role, or maybe not getting a role that you first went for. Yeah, it definitely is difficult, but I think there's so much of it. I think when you're working a lot, it's probably more enjoyable than when you're not. But at the same time, I was an actress for 16 years before I went into publicity, and I loved it. I thought I could never do anything else. And now I'm really glad I don't do it anymore.
Do you love publicity?
I love it. You know why? I feel like it's such an honor to help someone's career, to help them go to the next level. I just find that such an honor and such a beautiful experience. And then every time a film is nominated, I find it emotional because I know that changes their life massively. And it's so exciting and a privilege to be a part of that journey.
So at what point should an actor with a short film that they think is good, we've already said you've got to be in a good film, maybe you've got some stars in it or whatever, at what point should an actor or the director of that film engage you as a PR? Is there a minimum qualification this film needs to have reached before?
Don't think you need stars in a film. It is a nice to have and it does help, but many of our films have not. So that is not what I say you actually have to have. But for us, it's about an actor. If you're an actor director, usually it's the directors that would ask us to do the film. And so it would be when the film is selected for a higher profile festival, and not all actually, because even though there's many Oscar qualifying festivals, not every festival is good for press, right? Some, like I love Palm Springs, Palm Springs, but a great festival. But just because of where it is, there's not a whole lot of press that goes there. You know, Cleveland, great, lots of local press, not really, but some of the big cities, like obviously Holly Shorts is great for press, to really get a lot of press coverage. So would be Southwest is great, Tribeca, Rain Dance. I mean, there is a number of really good, there's tons of good festivals, but not everyone is great for getting press for short films anyway, So it's about having a good film and coming to us at the right time when there's, it can really help.
So, Kat, you and me have worked together to help with my visa to work in America. Is that something? How can PR help to help with something like that?
I try to stay away from doing that unless, you were in a huge film that warranted that. But I know that it's difficult. It's like a chicken and egg with many actors to get the publicity they need to give to the visa, to a lawyer to help with their visa. So it's not easy, but you do need to be in something. You can't just get press. I get approached a lot. People say, I've got a visa. I need help with the visa. Can you get some press? But journalists aren't going to write about you if you're not in something. You have to be in something pressworthy. You were, and that, it was a great film. So that was really helpful. But if you're not in something that's either, you have a role in a huge film or you are in a series with at least a few episodes, it's going to be difficult. So I wouldn't do that. There might be some people that would. So it is a bit of a chicken and egg, but if you are in something that you can do press around, then I would definitely approach.
So something has to be press-worthy to be able to, what makes something press-worthy?
Well, press-worthy in regards to a visa is a bit different than press-worthy as opposed to some blogs writing about you or some smaller places writing about you. But press-worthy means it has to be a film that, a decent film with stars in it, really, if you're talking about a visa, so that at least even if you're not the main role, you can be mentioned alongside those names. I'm not a visa expert, though, just put that out there, or be in a TV series and have a pivotal role, at least a couple of episodes, if not a really good guest star. So that's really important for, to have big enough. Because the thing is, if you just got a few lines in something, it's still great, right? It's a building block for your career and still amazing and still exciting, but you're just not going to get people wanting to write about you because your story, you're not a big enough part of the story for them. So if you've got a few lines, which is important to bring that, it's important for that scene, but it's not something that press are going to be interested in because your characters is not defined enough. You need to have a character that really is, there and important to actually making the scene happen, not being a part of the scene.
Do you find that most actors that come to you know what their objectives are for press? Because I tend to hear a lot of people just want to be famous, or they want to get press and publicity to elevate their career, but they don't really know why. Is it to get more jobs? Is it for another reason that they're not thinking about? Or do many people just not really know? Many
people don't know. So many people approach us and say, I was in something that just happened, or, I need to build up my name. I need to build up my career, but they don't have any work to help with that. You can't publicize something that isn't there. So people don't really know. And also people are not realistic often.
Okay. Talk to us about that.
You'll get an actor who comes to you and would, maybe they're quite new, but they've been in, they're really, got a brand new part in a good series, like I say, at least minimum couple of episodes, and then they will expect to be in GQ or, and it's not, that's not the case. You have to, because I don't work with actors as much anymore. We work with a few and more of the higher profile actors now, I'd say, but if you're approaching somebody, be realistic in the fact that they need to build you up, and being built up doesn't, it's very unlikely unless you're a brand new star featuring in a blockbuster against a big person. You're the big person, you're the new big person. You would be maybe in those kinds of publications, but it's very unlikely that a new actor in a few episodes is going to be on the cover of GQ, or, so you have to you have to trust who you work with, to know they have a purpose for you, to build you up, to get bigger and bigger, to get more known. It's about getting you're a brand, right? An actor is a brand, an actor is a product. So you need to get your brand, your product out there. So, Coca-Cola wasn't having these multi-million campaigns right away. They would have had to build up slowly. So it's, you have to trust that it's a building process, with maybe starting with some smaller press, and as you get more work, going to bigger press. And, that's less, you just have to be realistic to say, yeah, I'm not going to be in, these huge publications right away. I mean, you may be, it's not that it doesn't happen, but you just can't expect that. It's setting expectations. And that really is the job of the publicist too, to say and have that conversation and say, this is not how, it's not going to be right away. We have to build you up. But I know that some people are unrealistic, but it's just because they don't have the knowledge. It's like, if you don't understand, and I think it's a publicist's job to explain and to kind of set their expectations. And so you can't blame somebody who doesn't know and assumes that a publicist would just be able to get you in anything right away. So I think that it's just learning that, the right time, and feel free to approach people, because they'll tell you if it's the right time. I get approached a lot, and because I don't really work with that many actors anymore, some, but I'm very honest, and I say I don't think it's the right time right now, or if not, I don't have the capacity to take you on right now. Please go to someone else. But it's something that ask the questions, because I'm happy to get emails with a question, and I might not answer right away, but I will answer, because if someone's taken the time to write to me, I will write back.
Very good. So talk to me about red carpet events. A lot of actors want to be seen on the red carpet, go to the best events, which a publicist often helps with. Right. What's the point of that?
It's kind of funny. I do understand it. It's like, it's nice to have that on your IMDb page, or it's nice to kind of have for your Instagram and social media, which is, by the way, free marketing. If you don't use it, use it. Instagram is it's like a full-time job, but it's nice to add to those things that you were seeing there. But it's like, it doesn't have to be like a big red carpet of a big Oscar premiere, or, a big Oscar film, or a blockbuster premiere that you probably won't get in if you're just starting. Just having go to a film festival. Film festivals are great for actors, like Holly Shores. They've got a beautiful red carpet, lovely media wall backdrop. Get those pictures as well. Like when if possible, you're in a film and the film goes into a film festival, say to the director, can I come to one of the festivals with you? You know, it's like, can I walk the carpet with you? There's ways you can walk it, which don't have to be, you know, something which you might not be able to go to initially. So go to those events, you know, go even some you can buy tickets for. You can buy tickets for Holly Shorts, even if your film is not in it. And you can take pictures on the carpet there. So there's opportunities which you can take to get that picture that you want to help promote yourself. So, you know, just understand it isn't always about going to a big premiere where really you're not going to get photographed, or if you are, you know, they might just do what I call a courtesy flash and they don't put it on Getty or I know everyone wants to be on Getty, but you know, there are other ways you can get pictures to help promote. It's about promotion, I think. That's why people want to be on carpets, understandably. And it's quite fun. It's quite fun to walk a red carpet. I know that back in the days when I was an actress, I loved doing it. Not that I got to do that many, but it was, it's fun. So I think, you know, it's like, look at different ways you can do it. It doesn't have to be just that, you know, big carpet that you might not get into right away.
Yeah. What is a courtesy flash?
For anyone who's starting out and they wanted to go to a film festival, would they need permission to walk on the carpet? Would they need permission to go and get photographed, or do people just queue up? How does it work? Usually
if it's the opening night of something, they would need permission. Because you can't have, you know, every single film with all their cast walking, you know, on an opening night. This is not enough time, but often I know for Tribeca as well, they can bring their cast and you can go on as your cast and crew and you can take pictures. But it usually is something that's agreed. So you want to if you're in a film, you need to speak to the director or the producer and say, I'd really love to come to this festival with you. Is it possible? And then, you know, there will be opportunities there. Usually a lot of festivals, they'll have a red carpet up all the time, even if there's not a premiere. So there's opportunities to go and take your own pictures. But at the same time, you want to speak to your director to say, you know, can I come with you? Are you able to come? You know, and then they can, when they do their opening night, they will usually be on that carpet, and then hopefully you can go with them.
Do you think that helps an actor get better jobs? Because that's really what we all want as actors, is we want the next job.
Red carpets,
PR, any of it.
Publicity done right, yes.
In what way?
It should be that publicity done right should help build your name. It should help get you, you know, people start to put your name on Google and more interviews come up, more articles come up. It's a slow process, but it should be, people start to see you, you know, people talking about you more. And I know myself, if I've done any one interview and I put it on Instagram, people go nuts. Like people go, you get such a big reaction, like, oh my God, that's amazing. And so if that's happening for me and I'm not an actor, then for the actor, people will be like, oh, well, people are starting to write about you. Then you must be doing something right. It's perception. It is
builds
perception.
Credibility up of your name and your status,
yes.
Right?
So it's not going to happen overnight, but it should help in the long run.
If you'd like to join the WeAudition community, go to weaudition.com/show to get 25% off. Now back to the show.
Do you have any tips for actors that are not at the right stage to get a publicist?
Yes.
Or can't afford it, about how to do their own publicity in order to get that started?
Yes. So you are in... Actually, my mum did something for me back in the day, actually.
She did? Okay.
I was in, it's so funny. I was in Casualty, but I only had one episode, and she wrote to my local paper and they put me in the paper. So don't actually put down getting in touch with wherever you're from, you know, whichever town it is, city, America, around the world, you know, you can get in touch with the local radio show and say, you know, even if you haven't got a big part in something, if you're in a recognizable show, you could write to them and say, you know, is there any chance, you know, I'm in this show, would you like to have me on? Or wrote to the local papers, who will quite often like to champion people from the, you know, who used to be from there. And then, you know, they may write an article about you. It's a start, you know, look up film festivals. This is a really good tip. At film festivals, if you're in a film, then most festivals will have an accredited press list that you can ask for.
Oh, wow,
right?
really?
An accredited press list is usually given to the film, but, you know, if you're working with a director, every festival will have an accredited press. I have one for Holly Shorts, which they send it out to all the filmmakers. Now, even if the director doesn't want you to write just for you, you could say, is it possible that I be mentioned in any interviews? Can I do any interviews with you? Or, if you're able to obtain that, then you have those contacts, and then you can maybe write to them and say, would you consider doing an interview with me? So, and look up, if you're in a film, look up film blogs. Lots of film blogs will interview actors, and if you look at you have to kind of search the site. It might be hidden somewhere, but there will be a contact. So, write to them, but you don't want to bombard them either. You want to write to them with a short pitch, just saying, I'm starring in this film. This is my character. Here's my short bio. Here's a picture. Would you be interested in interviewing me? Keep it simple, but you will be able to get some of your own press that way, and it costs nothing.
Yeah, and there's also actually resources online, isn't there, Richard? Like free press releases that you can do to get your name out there and to actually disseminate a press release that's not the sort of standard that a publicist will do, but you can use it to generate your own leads.
There are things you can do. So, do get in touch with your local radio, your local paper, look up, there's TV blogs too. So just look up, if you're in a show, if you're in a big show, but you've only got a few lines, still get in touch with a TV publication. They might not be able to get, a TV blog will want to probably write about a show and may not be able to get a big star. So you might be the next best thing for them.
I think some of those free press release sites are really good for Google as well, because I've done that in the past. And I think there was one for some work that I did that went out one of those free press release blogs, but they look like it's an article. It's written in such a way, it looks like an article. And on Google, for me, I know one of them comes up really high and that says really nice things that pretty much I wrote, which is really nice.
But that's good that you're doing your own press in that way as well.
It's a free win.
Yeah. So what do actors have to be careful about though if they're in a show that's not out yet? Obviously, sometimes things are under non-disclosure
careful.
agreements. Is there a department of the show you need to speak to, or does your publicist speak to them?
If you have a publicist, your publicist will talk to them. If you have an agent, your agent can talk to them and just say, can they mention this? And also they will tell you what you can mention, because you don't want to give a storyline away. Yeah. So they'll say what you can mention, when you can mention it. And sometimes you just can't. Sometimes I had a guy who was in a series, and we couldn't really mention his character until it aired. But what we did was, I did interviews with him, and then obviously after it aired, we were able to kind of do more of the story, but he could just say he was in it, but nothing about his character, because it would have really spoiled the episode. Yeah. So then we were able to kind of work around it, but it's a bit harder. It's harder work for a publicist when you can't talk about that and just say, but because it was a big show, we were able to get some really good press. But sometimes it's really important that you know what you can say and when, because you definitely don't want to annoy anyone and then they not hire you again, especially a network.
Well, talking about that annoying people as well, I know as an actor myself, I've felt before about contacting a publicity department and thinking, that I'm not a big enough part in it. They might see me as annoying, or they might think I'm trying to build myself up too much outside of what it actually is. Do you find that publicity departments are happy to work with actors at all levels, or they do think, what are you trying to make a big thing of that for?
I don't suppose they want an email from every single person that's in something, but if you booked it through your agent and manager, get them to do it.
Interesting. Yeah, because that's actually something I've not thought about asking them to do myself.
I had a publicist when I was doing a series regular on a show, and they approached the PR department for the show and said, would it be possible that I do some work with Richard on this? And the show were very, very happy. Yes, please, because it made them look good. So everything was prepared by my PR, then went to their department and then went out. And actually, that was PR that I never would have got on the level of role I had. But the PR department had their work done for them, and they were very happy with me. And then they liaised with me a little bit on set and during the time there as well. So that worked out really well because it did them a favor.
It also depends on the show, because there are some shows, especially UK soaps, that don't want you to do any publicity while they're in contract, while they're still filming, because you could kind of mess with what they want to do for different characters, or get a big interview with, which they were planning for a different character. So it also depends on the show and the contract, and your agent or manager will know this, or can ask these questions for you. So I would never, as an actor, just contact the publicity department. I would have your publicist do it, or your agent or manager. That's really the best advice.
Yeah. Well, and also sometimes they have these nuanced campaigns that they have. We had a friend that had a film in Cannes Film Festival, and he was a very big role in this film, yet the film's publicity team only wanted the main male star and the female stars on the carpet. They didn't want any other male stars for whatever reason that was, whatever contractual thing. And so even though he's a big role in it, there was other things going on that sort of prevented him from having those pictures and that experience as well.
Well, I think it's just really difficult to have also you can't bring like all of your cast onto a carpet. There's not the time, and so it's difficult in that way. I mean, some films will, some won't for whatever reason, and those some things are out of your control. But if he'd have hired his own publicist, and he was in Cannes, being in a Cannes film is amazing. He could have hired his own publicist, and they could have got in touch with events for him to go on his own and do red carpets on his own without the film, but still being part of the film. So he could have done that. You can't guarantee, and it's something you or your manager should speak to the team and say, look, we'd love him to be involved, and get an honest answer so you're not expecting something that won't happen. Right.
And it does sometimes take a little bit of your own personal hustle as well. What kind of fee ranges do actors need to expect when they're hiring a PR?
It depends from where. I think that in the US, I think it's anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 a month. But, other countries charge less. It just depends, really. I would say if you find someone that charges $2,000, then that's great. But I think it's probably around $3,000, if not more, a month.
Per client, per month?
Per client, per month.
Yeah, wow. So you really have to
and I've heard of one that was charging $20,000 a month. A film that I'm working with now, she said to me, I was off. I got a quote for $20,000 for a month, a short film.
Well, I think the thing to be careful of if you're an actor that's looking for a publicist as well, and we've certainly been burnt by this as well in our past, is not everybody's work is created equal, and they can throw a quote out because you can't guarantee press, and that's fair. But you want to know that publicist has a pedigree and is able to have those relationships with people, because you may come across in the ether people that just say they're a publicist, charge you $5,000 and do nothing, right? So if you're out there as an actor and you are, looking for a PR, make sure you get recommendations from other people. Make sure you find out what their work is like. Research it. Absolutely.
And also go off on, if you have lots of people that say, no, it's not the right time, and then you have somebody who says it's yes, and they charge you a lot, then that should be a sign that it's maybe not the right time, because, I would go to a few people and it's important that you do a call with that person and go by your gut. I always say, like, when people come to us, I say, talk to other publicists and go with the one that's right for you. Because when you work with a manager or an agent, you talk to different managers and agents, and you go with the one that you feel would best represent you, and do the research, or look up their other clients and contact them. And so with all our Oscar films, I'm sorry for our past nominees, but they will get emails. They're going to get bombarded, as they should, in a way. And people will say to them, what was it like working with them? And so do that. I mean, you can't approach it an A-lister, but if there's some slightly smaller actors they're working with, maybe just Instagram them and say, would you mind me asking what it's like working with your publicist? And remember, though, not everyone is going to get the same press. So we might have a film that's very topical. We had one that was nominated for the Oscars about abortion, called Red, White and Blue. And obviously that's very topical because of the way the politics are with that in the US. And then you might have another one that's about relationships, and it's not going to get the CNNs of the world, like a film about abortion would. So at the same time, you can't compare yourself to other people because everyone's different, but do your research.
Yeah. I once had an interview with a publicist that I asked for some previous case studies, and they said, oh no, I can't give you those. They're confidential. And I'm like, but the word public is in your title. It shouldn't be. If you're doing good PR, it should be out there. So never trust a confidential publicist.
Well, it depends, right? Some things you can't share, but there are things that you can.
Yeah, I wasn't asking for personal. I just said, show me what you've done for some other client, and they couldn't. So that was a big red flag. Yeah.
I'm going to ask the questions.
Exactly. What's your favorite film festival in the world?
I can't say because I represent two, and I just think, ooh, okay. I'll one that I really like Tribeca.
Yeah.
I love the two that I represent, so I'm going to plug them. I love Holly Shots. Holly Shots is great, and also Rain Dance, which I work with, are great. Do you know why? There are filmmakers festivals. Some festivals you go to, especially if you're in a big festival and you've only got a short, they don't include you as much. Whereas, those festivals really go out their way to make sure they have a lot to do. And I would check that before you fly over somewhere. If you're not in a country where the festival is, and you've been selected, ask them what what kind of events they have. You don't want to fly over somewhere for a week from another country and all they have is your screening. So ask the questions before you spend all that money. And, you want to get the most value out of going wherever you are. Mm-hmm. So, I love Holly Shorts. They have so many panels, events, mixers. It's just, and actually, interestingly, I have a film with slightly older director and producer, and they said to me, I didn't really want to go because I saw pictures on your Instagram of the parties at Cannes. I thought everyone's going to be 20 and beautiful, and they were like, but I've come here, and they said it's brilliant, because we've met all these directors from different countries and different ages, and they said it's not like that at all. There's people from all filmmakers of different ages, different countries, different places, and so they were quite pleasantly surprised by that.
That's really great. You've helped many, many people we've seen. You've helped them win Oscars. You've helped us in Cannes Film Festival. You've helped Richard with his campaign. You've helped me from the start of both our careers. I remember you doing publicity for one of my first ever shorts up here in Hollywood. So we have a lot to thank you for. And thanks for being on the show and just sharing your knowledge with the WeAudition community.
Thanks. I think what you're doing is amazing.
Thank you, Kat. We think you're great.
No, I think what you're doing at WeAudition is amazing, and it's just so innovative, and it helps so many. And I think what's great about it is that you're bringing people together who can help each other, and that's huge.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the WeAudition Show. Your hosts were Darren Darnborough and me, Richard Cambridge, from WeAudition, the leading professional actors community where you can connect, learn, elevate your career, and always get a self-tape reader on demand. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you're a WeAudition member, or even if you're not, we would love it if you could please subscribe to this podcast, as it really helps us. And if you have friends who might get value from this episode, please share the link with them. You can find us at weaudition.com or for your iPhone or iPad by searching WeAudition on the App Store. See you next time.